10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello, welcome to the British Embassy. Well, more the Brit-Ish Embassy, because it's not the real one, so it's more Brit-ish than British. And I'm Ambassador Swann. If you see me somewhere else, you know that I'm not an ambassador, and you probably know me by another name. But for the sake of the channel, let's keep into the spirit of this. Later on, I'm going to tell you how to phone us, because this is a short video, or hopefully it will be, because the one we started recording wasn't, trust me. This second take will be a short one. I need your help. I'm nearly 61, I'm digitally inept, I need video recorders, I need sound recorders, or recordists, the recording devices we've got. I need people who are innovative and inventive because of some of the things we'll be doing if this catches on. I'll go into those in a moment. Basically, I need your help. So before I go any further, I'm going to give you the telephone number to call. The reason I'm going to give you a phone number is you've probably seen on YouTube, there are some fairly unpleasant comments. A lot of them aren't particularly helpful to the video. Some are good, some are bad, but none of them seem to engage. I'm going to give you a phone number, and I'm going to encourage you to phone it whilst we're on air, or afterwards if you want to offer help. And that way, if you have something either constructive or destructive to say, do so, and we'll put you on. Here's the number, and this is just the studio number, not my personal number, so you can give it to whomever you like. In fact, I'd ask you to. Here we go. Now, the studio number is, if I can get it here, 07730. So it's not often you get given the number of the British Embassy, is it? But there you go. 07730 196 791. So I'll just let you get a pen and paper. So that's 07730 196 791. I was trying to think of a way of remembering that, and I don't know whether it'll help you, but if you want a little rhyme, think of this one. Instead of thinking of that number, think of, if I can get this right here, hello Devon. Devon, we go online. Quick, Devon, sign on. I'll say that again, then I'll explain it. Try and remember this rhyme for our telephone number. Hello, Devon. Devon, we go online. Quick, Devon, sign on. And all you've got to do is think of the sound. O represents hello, 7 represents Devon. You get the idea. 7 represents Devon, 3 represents we, O represents go, and the other half of the number, 1 represents on, 9 represents line, 6 represents quick, 7 represents Devon, 9 represents sign, and 1 represents on. So I promise this is the last time I'll do this to you, so don't go away yet. The telephone number for the studio is 07730 196 791, and the little rhyme to remember that is, hello Devon. Devon, we go online. Quick Devon, sign on. Right, we don't need that anymore. Good. What are we about? I think what I'll do, to try and be a little quicker than the first take of this, is just to read you what's on the card that we're giving out. Because we're giving these out, hopefully you'll give them to your friends. We're going to try and beat the YouTube algorithm. I don't want you to like, share or subscribe. Don't do that. That means I need you to tell your friends who we are. I need your friends to tell their friends who we are. So just as you would do with anything else, let's do it by telling each other, bugger the YouTube algorithm. In a minute, I'm going to tell you something else we'll be doing, because we're really going to try and mess up their adverts legally. We're going to try and mess up their statistics so that they don't bother us with adverts, those horrible little adverts during a YouTube video you're trying to watch. Tell you that in a minute. Now, this is what we're about. I am a Brit of many facets. I'd like you to meet Dr.FRAUD, not Freud, he's the dead one, from the Newton Abbot Institute for Sleep Disorders. We used to do this on Devon Air Radio before it became Gemini and before it became God knows what, but it seemed to go down quite well. Dr. Freud gives rapid monologue to explain what's happening to him. He usually starts by explaining he's in a very difficult situation. For example, he was last seen, as far as I recall, almost stark naked, flying around the Theatre Royal by flapping his lab coat like an albino bat on Benzedrine after an unfortunate encounter at Porton Down. More of that later, but that's Dr. FRAUD. Please assist us to keep an eye on the Devon and Cornwall Police. Why? Well, if you're a taxpayer, hate to tell you, but there are 43 police forces in the United Kingdom. Most of them are pretty good. They do what you'd expect of the police, you know, stop criminals, help people, that sort of thing. 6 police forces out of those 43 are on what's called engage oversight status. That means a government organisation has been created specially to monitor them to such a high degree that there are only 6 forces in the country out of 43 on special engage oversight status. And I have to tell you, Devon and Cornwall Police are one of those 6. Greater Manchester used to be, and they're a big city police force, so, you know, you can understand that they can have problems. But they've pulled themselves together. They're now no longer on engage oversight status. Now, I think, frankly, that the Devon and Cornwall Police have been listening to the Metropolitan Police in London too much. The Metropolitan Police like to think that they're the benchmark of police forces. The Metropolitan Police, although in the 1970s, I don't know if it's true, but I have heard that a lot of people who were arrested when they came out of the cells in the morning, if they hadn't done anything wrong, were bruised really badly because, my God, the steps on the Metropolitan Police stations must have been very clean. They must have been very clean because apparently they were mopped so often that they were very slippery and people kept falling down them and bruising themselves. That's the Metropolitan Police. That's the police force that would like all other police forces to use them as a benchmark. Well, I have some good news for you to go with the bad news. Devon and Cornwall Police are following that advice. They are indeed treating the Metropolitan Police as their benchmark because now the Devon and Cornwall Police are also on engage special oversight status. I'm going to be reading you this sometime in the future. This, I'm really sorry to tell you, is the Peel report. This is the Peel report on the Devon and Cornwall Police's performance. In here, I won't open it now because all the papers will fall out. In here, it's colour-coded. Purple means absolute disaster. So, for example, the time it takes the Devon and Cornwall Police to answer calls is really dark purple, because if you've ever tried to call them and you've ever tried to get them to help you, you'll know it's hours, it's not minutes. You can call again and again, you get a police number, you quote the police number, they say, you're being attended to, nothing happens. Or even you try to call them and it says, we'll answer your call, we really value you, we'll assist you as soon as we can, and nobody answers. I have to tell you, in this report, most of the colour tags are purple. Except one. There is one green one. Really, there's one green one. Just a minute, bear with me for a second. This is so unusual, I have to tell you what the green tag is on this Peel report about the Devon and Cornwall Police's performance. One moment. What have we got here? Good God, it is actually green. What are they? Oh, I see. Yes, building and supporting their own police force. That's green. They've got excellent marking for looking after their own workforce. So the Devon and Cornwall Police have got purple scores for answering call times, for assisting people, for solving crimes, and the one green one they've got, the one green one, is for looking after their own staff. I'll just drop this on the floor for now because, frankly, it deserves it. As we do these videos, I'll be reading you a little bit from this report. As you can see, it's quite thick. I'll be reading you a little bit from this report each time we do it. And then we'll open that phone line and you can tell me if you've had an incident where they haven't answered, and we'll broadcast it. We'll name and shame. And we'll do this so often that they'll get so fed up of us, hopefully, that either they'll arrest me. That could be interesting too. Won't stop the channel, but it'll be interesting. Or they'll improve. So let's just drop this for now. Bye-bye. Now, what else do we tell you? Oh yeah, I was going to tell you, with your assistance, how we plan to make a real mess of YouTube statistics with those horrible short ads. When I tried this on the first take, it took a long while, so I'm just going to try and be brief. When you look at an ad on YouTube, it checks to see if you're still watching it. It checks to see if you do click off, how long it was before you clicked off. And as far as I understand, though I didn't know this until recently, if you click mute so you can't hear the damn thing, it will still, hopefully, tell their stats if it's muted it. I tried a little experiment. With a 30-second commercial, I clicked it on loop and went to work. I came back from work 8.5 hours later. During that time, if you think of a 30-second commercial repeating twice every minute, and then carry that over 8 hours, that's about 1,500 repetitions for one computer. I would like, every now and then, to name a particular commercial and ask all of you watching, just before you go to work, if you see that commercial, to set it on loop and go to work. Because what that will do is, for every one of you that helps me this way, it will repeat that commercial of 30 seconds or less at least 1,500 times during that 8.5 hours. If it does that, on their stats, it will show for each one of you 1,500 views. And on not one of those views will there be any interaction. You won't have clicked to change over, you won't have clicked to mute, and it can't measure how long it was before you clicked off. It'll just throw a straight playthrough of the advert, so the computer algorithm and software will think that you're interested, but you've not responded. So it's got, just from one of you, 1,500 repetitions with no response. If only 10 of us do that, that's getting on for 11,000 repetitions with no response. I know all it's cost one of you is a little bit of electricity. I think if between us we do this, sooner or later, YouTube are going to get so fed up of super stats for viewings being given to them with not one single stat for interaction that they're going to get the message. If not, we'll contact them and say, you've got to stop these ads, they're irritating. And if you don't stop the ads, we'll keep doing it. On that note, I think that YouTube are trying to get the best of both worlds. You can buy ad-free YouTube, as you know. That means you pay not to watch the ads, which is good for YouTube, but not good for you because you paid. But think about it from the poor advertiser's point of view. They have paid YouTube for you to watch their ad. And you've paid YouTube not to watch the ad. So you're paying YouTube not to watch the ad, and the advertisers are paying YouTube for you to watch the ad. Now, I don't want to get into shtuck, so I wouldn't dream of suggesting any words like, oh, I don't know, getting money by false pretenses. I'm sure nobody's doing anything like that. But somewhere along the line, if you pay to have your ads viewed, and somebody else pays you for the privilege of not having to watch those ads, you're taking money from one of the two people you shouldn't be taking. Now, I don't know which that is, but it strikes me that one of those two people, I'm trying to not say a word that might get me into shock, but you can see where I'm going on this. Right, where have we got? Oh yes, almost there. If you're a radio amateur, I'd like you to help me. It's an experiment I'd like you to do. I'll try and be quicker than I was on take one on this, because if you're not a radio amateur, this could get a bit boring. Here we go. If you aren't a radio amateur, now's the time to go and get a bicky or something. This will take about 2 minutes. Or go and get a bicky if you're not a radio amateur. If you're a radio amateur, as far as I understand it, in World War II, on the 8-meter band, you could transmit a signal on 6 watts, and on a full-length dipole, that's 8 meters, obviously, you know that. You would get coverage on just 6 watts from anywhere in England, all around the Med area in a large circle. That's a huge coverage. A modern CB only puts out 4 watts. So on just 6 to 8 watts, you'd get a coverage of the entire Med. But you'd only do that on Morse. It wouldn't carry voice unless you're really lucky, because of course it's bouncing off the ionosphere and skipping back down again. But with that kind of coverage, you'd always get Morse. You would, on rare occasions, be able to get voice. But if you were to take that to modern times, there's not enough bandwidth for straight video. That brings me to an interesting challenge for you. Radio amateurs, tell your buddies, here's a challenge. I think with modern compression software, you could probably get video bouncing off the ionosphere, not just on a limited number of lines, but on proper video output. I don't know what modern video scans at. On old-fashioned TV, it used to be 625 lines. I'm pretty sure you could get a signal of the quality of the old-fashioned 625 lines, compressed digitally, and broadcast, skipping off the ionosphere and reaching places all around the Med with a really good viewable colour picture and sound. That would be without use of the internet, so that's useful, and without use of telephone lines, and without use of high frequencies. This means that at the moment, Putin's population think he's God. He won't let them see the internet. He's blocked everything. As far as I understand it, there are still amateur radio people in Russia who he hasn't blocked because it's a kind of a niche fitting. Just think, if you could broadcast video and audio signal to amateur radio people in Russia on 6 watts, on 8 meters, because I'm pretty sure it would carry that far, and get them to send it, once they'd seen it and realized what was going on their internal internet, which hasn't yet been blocked, that might be quite useful. Do you think you can do that? Again, if you're a radio amateur, you had the number. I won't say it again because I dropped it on the floor and I'm not going to pick it up again. Go back to the beginning of the video. If you think you can do it, call me. I would love to give that a go. Finally, before I finish, did I mention why Putin is called Putin? Now, if you've got any children listening, you should maybe plug their ears, because I don't know whether you know it, Putin's not his name. Putin is actually a sexual instruction. Now, you know Lukashenko is his favourite general, and you know that huge long table he's got? His name's Putin because imagine him laying on that table. Imagine him bending down like that. What he's actually saying is, Putin, Putin, oh, Shenki, Shenki, shank it to me, Shenki, Putin, Putin, more Vaseline, oh, it hurts, Putin, Putin. That's what we want to give to the Russian people. Anyway, that's about it. I hope you find it interesting. Give us a call. You've got the number. Bye.